NYGATS Training Certificate Issuance Timeline. In this training, we will review data reporting timeline, generation loading, prior period adjustments, and ZEC issuance. Data reporting timeline. All NYGATS projects can submit generation data and prior period adjustments for the vintage year 30 days prior to the settlement date associated with the certificate vintage. All 2016 generation can be loaded 30 days prior to the 2016 settlement, which occurs on June 30th, 2017. The last possible date to load data will be May 31st, 2017. Historical generation after the settlement date will not be accepted. Generation prior to January 2016 will not be accepted. Generation loading. Once generation data is reported to NYGATS by NYSERDA, a QIP or self-reported, and a data validity check is performed, the data will be posted to the account holder's generation activity log with a status of NYGATS accepted or NYGATS pending. The generation activity log can be accessed via the reports menu at the top right-hand side of the dashboard. The generation activity log will display the status of the data as its status is updated. NYGATS will notify the account holder via email that the data has been posted. Notifications can be accessed via the account's message notification module. Generation can be reviewed, accepted, or disputed by the account holder for 14 days. Once the QIP or NYSO loaded data is accepted by the account holder, certificates will be immediately issued. Self-reported data will be set to an account holder accepted status and issued the next day. NYGATS accepted data that is not account holder accepted or disputed after 14 days will be used for certificate issuance 15 days after the data was loaded. Loaded data can be reviewed from the Asset Management module's Review Data Self-Report column. The date displayed in this column is the last vintage to be loaded. The self-reporting facility project output data review screen will display all generation reported for the project. The period data status in the left-hand column displays the status of all loaded current period generation. Certificate created status is generation used for certificate issuance. NYGATS accepted status is generation loaded, ready for certificate issuance. If the data is not accepted within 14 days, certificates will be issued automatically on day 15. NYGATS pending status is generation data either that has failed feasibility and that requires administrator review, or it's a multi-fuel project that requires fuel allocations to be reported by the account holder. The account holder or admin accepted status is self-reported generation that has been accepted by the account holder or the administrator and will be reviewed the day after being marked in account holder accepted status. The account holder or admin disputed status is generation data that is in a disputed status that will not contribute to certificate issuance. Generation in disputed status must be resolved prior to the annual settlement date, which is June 30th of each year. NYGATS pending data due to multi-fuel allocations not being entered will issue certificates at the annual settlement date using the primary fuel type listed. The account holder can log in to the data review screen for multi-fuel projects with pending data by accessing the Review Data Self-Report column located in the Asset Management module. Select the NYGATS pending status hyperlink to review the reported data and enter the allocation percentage of the fuels used during the month. Occasionally, there may be debits and credits in the current period as data is finalized or resettled, requiring a prior period adjustment. The prior period adjustments will be displayed in the Adjustment New Megawatt Hour column of the Self-Reporting Facility Project Output Data Review screen. The hyperlinked value can be selected to approve or dispute the adjustment. If new certificates are created resulting from an adjustment, the vintage of the certificates shall reflect the month and year of the generation being adjusted. If certificates must be debited, fewer certificates will be created for the current period. After the settlement date associated with the vintage year, no further adjustments will be accepted by NYGATS administrator. The prior period adjustment can be reviewed, accepted, or disputed by the account holder for 14 days. Once the QIP or NYSO loaded data is accepted by the account holder, certificates will be immediately issued. NYGATS accepted data that is not account holder accepted or disputed after 14 days will be used for certificate issuance 15 days after the data was loaded. Zero emissions credits are certificates from the nuclear electric generating facilities eligible under the zero emissions credit requirement component of the CES. The Zero Emissions Credit Requirement Program began in April 2017. The ZEC compliance can be reviewed in the LSC ZEC Compliance Summary module in the LSC Account Dashboard. NYGATS will create ZECs on a first-come, first-served basis from eligible generating units until the issuance cap is reached. Certificates after the cap is reached will have no ZEC eligibility. The issuance cap should be applied to the ZEC compliance year, which runs from April to March. Therefore, the ZEC count should reset every year for April certificate issuances. The issuance cap is $27,618,000 for compliance year 2017 and 2018. The issuance cap may change for later compliance years. When an issuance occurs that results in the cap being reached, the remaining available ZECs will be divided up in proportion to the reported generation for the compliance year. For example, if generator 1030 reports 80% of the sum of the output for all nuclear projects in the compliance year, they should receive 80% of the remaining ZECs. Positive adjustments do not receive ZECs after the cap is reached. Negative adjustments for generation that resulted in ZEC issuance results in those ZECs being available for the next issuance. Additional information on the topics covered in this training or any other questions you have about how to use your NYGATS account can be found in the NYGATS operating procedure. Additional questions can be submitted to the NYGATS administrator at nygats@apx.com or by phone at 408-643-0167.